Welcome my fellow cheapskates to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another edition of Necro-Mondays, where we post up weekly Necromunda Battle Reports with our series, the Underhive Wars. Currently our Underhive Wars is in our Sector 7 Dominion campaign, and we're also continuing on a small little mini takeover phase that we're doing for our campaign, which is our Meat for the Grinder series. And the reason why that is the case is because we said add 2 more gangs to our campaign, which are Slave Ogryns and Corpse Grinder cults, which happens to be on this battle report, which is also pretty nice as well. So this is battle report number 57. It is fought between my 2 friends, Smells Like Febreze as well as Iron Major. Smells Like Febreze, she is bringing the Chain Breakers of the Slave Ogryns, and Iron Major is playing the Prophets of Rage, a Corpse Grinder cult. Now this is going to be like the last 2 battle reports of our Meat for the Grinder series, for this one as well as the next one, and then after that we'll go back to our normal Dominion campaign afterwards. And the reason why we did this little mini campaign is so that way these 2 gangs can level up very quickly and catch up with the rest of the gangs that are already in our campaign right now. So far the Chain Breakers have been actually doing pretty solid so far throughout the entirety of our this little mini takeover phase that we did. They've grown exponentially as a gang, and they proved to be very, very brutal, while at the same time the Prophets of Rage have also grown very, very rapidly as well. Not as successful as the Slave Ogryns, but these 2 gangs are around the same point value, so it'll be kind of interesting to see how it goes. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to play this in a Tunnel Skirmish scenario. We're going to play some background music real quick and show you photos of both gangs as well as the rosters for both gangs as well. So if you want to see exactly what they're bringing for this one, go ahead and pause and take a look at your own leisure. So that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
So the scenario rules for this one is Tunnel Skirmish. What ends up happening is that both these gangs will be fighting in a Zone Mortalis battlefield. Both gangs will get their entire crew in order to do this battle report as well. Standard deployment rules as always, with each of the gangs being deployed within 1 tile of the Zone Mortalis battlefield as well. The objective is to take out as many enemy fighters as possible. You earn 3 victory points for taking out leaders. You get 2 victory points for taking out champions, and 1 victory point for taking everybody else out. Pretty much the thing that ends the battle is whoever has the most victory points in the end wins. For the rewards on this one, for credits, the winner earns 2d6 times 10 credits, while the loser receives d3 times 5 credits. In a case of a draw, both gangs receive d6 times 10 credits. For experience, each participant in this scenario will earn 1 point of experience, and the winning gang leader earns an additional experience point for a bonus. When it comes to the reputation, the winner earns 2 points of reputation, and if both gangs are fighting against each other the very first time, they earn 1 point of reputation as well. Since these guys have already faced off before, that's not going to be the case. However, if any gang bottles out though, they lose 1 point of reputation. So the scenario rules over. Let's go and talk about the battle plan real quick. So here's an overhead shot of the entirety of the battlefield. As you can see, Iron Major is primarily deployed on the near side of the table, while his initiates have infiltrated in. At the same time, Smells Like Febreze, her forces are deployed on the far side of the table as well. As you can see, they're playing on a Zone Mortalis table, which has basically it's a 9x9 3x3 table with 1 additional tile put on each end as well. Pretty much with the battle plan on this one, I'm not really sure what their individual tactics are going to be on this one, because I'm just the arbitrator in this battle report. So the only thing I'm doing is I'm just taking photos to record it for a campaign. Smells Like Febreze as well as Iron Major are the ones playing this one, but according to their discussion during and after the game, pretty much what I'm pretty understanding is this: Iron Major is going to try to catch the Chain Breakers in a pincer attack. You may not be able to see this, but you'll see on the close-ups of the deployment, he's actually got several fire teams worth of initiates deployed on the Chain Breakers side of the table, and then of course his close combat elements like his Butcher, his Skinner, as well as his Cutter are located on the bottom. Same thing with the Eightfold Harvest Lord as well as his Hive Scum. The idea is supposed to be he wants to catch him in a pincer attack from the front as well as the back and then destroy him that way. Is pretty much what he's kind of going for his battle plan. At the same time, my friend Smells Like Febreze is going to try to take a shooting elements with their Storm Elders, try to take out the suppression element that's in front of them, while the rest of the fighters deal with anybody that's in their back ranks. And that pretty much makes it their battle plan for this one. So with the battle plan over, let's go talk about deployment real quick. So starting on the bottom left-hand side, we're going to talk about the Prophets of Rage. This is the little 3-man fire team that Iron Mage has set up. First of all, on the left-hand side, that is Tova. He's a Hive Scum armed with mesh armor. He's got a stub gun with dum-dum rounds as well as a maw. Right next on the right-hand side, that is Avot. He has another Hive Scum armed with mesh armor. He's got a stub gun with dum-dum bullets as well as a maw. And then right behind them is the Eightfold Harvest Lord. He is a bounty hunter special character for this gang. He's got a Butcher's Mask as well as plate mail. He's got a pair of heavy chain cleavers. He's got a Fighting Knight as well as a Corpse Grinder cult icon. He's got the Avatar Blood, Killing Blow, Slaughterborn, as well as Bounty Hunter special rules attached to him. On the bottom right hand corner, we have another 4-man fire team. These are basically the close combat elements for the Prophets of Rage. And the front left hand corner, I believe that is Garn Dramier. He is a Skinner's armor with a Skinner's mask. He's got plate mail as well as paired butcher chain cleavers. He's got the Specialist as well as Berserker charge special rules. Next to him on the right hand side, that is Loken Flay. He's another Skinner with a Skinner's mask. He's got a plate mail, paired butchers chain cleavers. He's got the Specialist, Berserker charge as well as Slaughterborn special rules. Behind him in the back left, that is Severed Grill. He's a butcher. He's the leader of this gang. He's got a Butcher's Mask, plate mail, two-handed axe. He's got a Corpse Grinder cult icon. He's got the Commanding Presence, First into the Fray, and Bulging Bicep special rules. And right next on the right-hand side, that is Dredge Borsha. He is the gang's cutter. He's got a Cutter Mask as well as plate mail. He's got a Rotary, Fencing Saw, cult icon, Frenzy, as well as Dervish special rules. And that pretty much makes his plummet here on the right-hand side. Now in the top left corner of the battlefield, using the Infiltrator special rule, we have a 4-man fire team of Initiates. In the front, that is Banner the Eld. He's an Initiate armed with Initiate's mask. He's got flak armor, a hand flamer, a stub gun with dum-dum rounds, as well as a frag grenades. He's got the Infiltrate as well as parry special rules. Right behind him, that is Orlok the Melter. He is an Initiate. He's got an Initiate's mask, flak armor. He's got a hand flamer, as well as a flensing knife, as well as the Infiltrate special rule. Right behind him, the third guy, that's Dran Ilvek. He is an Initiate armed with Initiate's mask. He's got flak armor, stub gun with dum-dum rounds, frag grenades, butcher cleaver, as well as the Infiltrate special rule. And the very last guy in the back, that is Tavor Ghoul. He is a brand new Initiate with Initiate's mask. He's got flak armor with stub gun with dum-dum rounds. He's got a boning sword as well as the Infiltrate special rule. And in the upper right hand corner, deployed where there's another 3-man fire team. Up in the front, that guy up in the front there, I believe that is Varskil Vek is his name. He's an Initiate, he's got Initiate's mask, he's got flak armor, stub gun, and dum-dum rounds. He's armed with a chain glaive as well as the Infiltrate special rule. Next to him in the back left, that is Krola Ilvek, his Initiate mask with flak armor. He's got a stub gun with dum-dum rounds, frag grenades, flensing knife, as well as Infiltrate special rule. And then right next to him on the right hand side, that is the Bloody Nine. He is another Initiate with Initiate's mask, flak armor, and stub gun with dum-dum rounds. He's also got a boning sword and Infiltrate special rule. And that pretty much makes the deployment for the Prophets of Rage. So jumping of course to the other side of the table is the Chainbreaker. Starting off the left-hand deployment, we have a little 6-man fire team over here in the far left-hand side, next behind that door. On the back left, that is Mech Boy. He's an ammo jack. He's got mesh armor as well as a combat shock with salvo and shredder ammo. He's got a power hammer as well as the munitioneer skill. Right next to him on the right hand side, that is Thrug 12, also known as Sparky. He is a bounty hunter special character for the Slave Ogryns. He's equipped with light carapace armor. He's got photo goggles, a last cutter, and an augmented fist, and as well as a maul. He's got a stim slug stash. He's got the headbutt, inspirational, and true grit special rules, and he can also group activate 1. Right in front of him are 2 Lobo Slaves. On the left-hand side, that is, what's his name? I think that's Igor. Igor is his name, that's right. He's got a furnace plate, he's got a 2-handed axe, he's got the lobotomized, limited learning, slow-witted, and runaway skills. Next on the right-hand side is Dig Dug. He is a Lobo Slave. He's got furnace plate, a 2-handed hammer, he's got a stim slick stash, and frag grenades. He's got the lobotomized, limited learning capacity, slow-witted, as well as runaway special rules for him. Up in the front, we got 2 more Lobo Slaves. On the left-hand side, that is Light Blaster. He's got is a Lobo Slave. He's armed with furnace plate. He's got paired Spudjackers. He's got the lobotomized, limited learning, slow-witted, and runaway skills. And then right next to the right-hand side is Dark Blaster, another Lobo Slave. He's got furnace plate. He's got paired augmented fists. He's got the lobotomized, limited learning capacity, slow-witted, as well as runaway skills attached to him. And in the center deploy, we have another 3-man fire team. Starting in the back, that is Burpso Blood. He is a Slave Ogryn. He's got furnace plate, heavy rock saw, a stim slug stash. He's also got the loyal, runaway, limited learning, as well as headbutt skills. Up in the front left, that is Shan Yu. He is a Slave Ogryn with a furnace plate, arc welder, augmented fist, as well as blasting charges. He's got the loyal, runaway, limited learning capacity, as well as headbutt skills. And next on the right-hand side, that is Korgul. He's an Ogryn underboss. He's basically the champion for this gang. He's got a furnace plate, paired augmented fists, frag grenades, stim, slug stash. He's got the runaway as well as Iron Man skill. And that pretty much makes up his deployment for this side. And finally, on the far right hand side is Smells Like Febreze little 4-man posse here. In the back she has her Ogryn overboss Taijin Khan. He's the leader for this gang. He's got the Furnace Plate, Last Cutter, Blasting Charge. He's got the Runaway as well as Commanding Presence skill, and then leading as a 3-man team of Slave Ogryns. In the back left, that is Chemo 113. He's a Slave Ogryn. He's got a Furnace Plate, Storm Welder, Brute Cleaver. He's got the Runaway, Loyal, Limited Learning Capacity, and Headbutt skills. Up in the front is Stavro 256. He's another Slave Ogryn. He's got Furnace Plate, Storm Welder, and Axe. He's got the Loyal, Limited Learning Capacity, Runaway, and Headbutt skills. And right next to him on the right hand side, that is Draco 111. He's a Slave Ogryns. He's got Furnace Plate, Storm Welder, Axe. He's got the Loyal, Limited Learning Capacity, Runaway, and Headbutt skills as well. And that pretty much makes up the deployment for the Chainbreakers. So with deployment over with, you go directly to the top of turn number 1, and both Smells Like Febreze and Iron Major roll off for priority to see which of them will be going first. And that takes us directly to the top of turn number 1 for the Slave Ogryns, and the very first activation that my friend Smells Like Febreze does is activate Thrug 12 Sparky. He then also does a group activation with Mech Boy. Thrug 12 Sparky moves over to the left-hand side in order to escape the firing arc of these 4 initiates. However, Mech Boy, though, he moves up his normal movement allowance directly to that little sandbag pit, aims his combat shotgun down the entire column, and decides to open up with Shredder ammo. And in case you're unfamiliar with what Shredder ammo does for a combat shotgun, you use the template, as you can see there. There's a huge burst of strength 2 scatter shot round, just covers everything, as you can see right there. Covers all 4 of those fighters. Now, you might be thinking, well, it's only strength 2, how bad could it possibly be? Well, the reason why it's bad is because they have the scatter shot special rules, which means that you roll D6 wound counters to see how many times you wound these guys. And my friend, she rolled pretty well on this. I think she actually rolled like something like 19 or 18 or 19 wound rolls for all 4 of these guys. So that part was absolutely horrific. So as you can see, all kinds of bad ended up happening. Banner the Eld went out of action, suffering a grievous injury results because he goes directly into recovery as well. Not to mention, at the same time, Orlok the Melter, same thing with Dran Ilvek and Tavar Ghul. All 3 of those guys got serious injury results. Tavar Ghul got a serious injury as well as 2 flesh wounds attached to him as well. So Tavar Ghul is pretty much done for the rest of the battle port. If he just stands there and lays there, he can't do anything. And of course, if my friend Iron Major rolls a flesh wound for him, he goes automatically out of action because it eats up his very last of his toughness points. So that part was absolutely horrific. 4 guys down with 1 shot from a combat shotgun. So, not to be outdone, Iron Major then goes next. He activates Varsk Ilvek, his initiate arm of the Chain Glaive, and that guy goes charging directly into Burps of Blood and engages him in close combat. Unfortunately for my friend Iron Major, though, he flubbed his attack rolls, was not able to hit him as well. I think he rolled like a couple of 1s, I think, for the most part. So because that did nothing against Burps of Blood, so that part was horrific. Smells Like Febreze then activates Shan Yu, and Shan Yu of course just does a movement to go around Varsk Ilvek because he's not engaging in close combat, and the reason why is because Shan Yu is now in perfect sight alignment directly to the Bloody Nine as well as Korla Ilvek, and of course, what does my friend Smells Like Febreze does? She has him chuck one of his blasting charges right at them. She sticks the landing on a grenade, and a 5-inch blast template goes off, engulfing both Korla Ilvek as well as the Bloody Nine into a shower of hot spewing metal and shrapnel, and just blows everything up, as crazy as it may sound. And to make matters worse, Korla Ilvek, he does go to action with a head injury, so because it does automatically go to recovery, he also loses 1 point to his will as well as to intelligence. So the opening salvos of turn number 1, my friend Iron Major's lost 2 of his fighters, and the Bloody Nine also gets a serious injury as well as 2 flesh wounds put on him as well. Now if you're wondering why the reason why he's causing 3 damage is because of the knockback special rule attached to the blasting charges. Since the blasting charges have a higher strength value than the Bloody Nine, he takes it actually goes up 1 additional damage, causes 3 damage, 2 flesh wounds as well as a serious injury. And so because of that, the Bloody Nine is pretty much done for the rest of the fight. If my buddy Iron Major just rolls a bunch of serious injuries, he just lays on the ground and just keeps on bleeding out until someone finishes him off with a coup de grace. If he rolls a flesh wound, he automatically goes out of action because his tetanus points are gone. So things are not looking very good right now for Iron Major in this opening turn. And to make matters worse, Burps of Blood decides to counterattack against Varsk Ilvek and manage to put the hurting on that guy, puts him directly out of action with a spinal injury. So because of that, Varsk Ilvek also goes out of action and loses 1 point to his strength. He's now strength 2. Luckily for him, though, he is packing a Chain Glaive, so that might mitigate some of his weaknesses in terms of strength. And but at the same time, that's another fighter that's down as well. As you can see in this photo as well, Burps of Blood just kind of follows through 2 inches and starts making his way down directly to the end of the table. Now, if you're wondering why my friend Iron Major, why Smells Like Febreze actually went twice back to back. The reason why is because what ended up happening is that my friends started, moving their miniatures around, and nothing was really happening. It was mainly just movement, and the only thing that really took place on the last part of the round was this combat. So I decided to let my friends, move all the miniatures. I took a picture of the combat, and then I waited for them to move all the miniatures again, and then I just took group photos so that way we're not going back and forth and confusing you guys. So there we go. 3 fighters down, out of action the very first turn of the game. So things are not looking very good at all for the Prophets of Rage. And like I mentioned before, the rest of the phase just dedicated to movements. So you can see here Tova, Avot, as well as the Eightfold Harvest Lord run up as quick as they can, doing double movements to the left-hand side, trying to put some pressure on the left-hand flank of the Slave Ogryns. And the exact same thing takes place in the bottom right-hand corner. Severgrill, Dredge, Borsha, Garden, Dramnir, as well as Loken Flay. All 4 of those guys just do double movements as quick as they can in order to put pressure on the right-hand flank of the Slave Ogryns as well. Meanwhile, in the top left-hand corner of the battlefield, the breakout phase is occurring for all of the Lobo slaves under the command of my friend Smells Like Febreze. She has Darklighter spend a simple action to open the door for their vault, and then spends another simple action to follow through. Meanwhile, Light Blaster does a double move to the left, followed quickly by Igor, and then of course you also got Dig Dug also doing double movements as well. So now they're out of their little vault, making their way down the left-hand flank. And the exact same thing takes place on the right-hand side. Taijin Khan does a group activation using his Commanding Presence ability. And as you can see, Taijin Khan, Chemo 113, Draco 111, and Stavro 256, those characters all just do double movements along into that darkened corridor, making their way down the right-hand flank as well. And that pretty much makes it the action phase for this one. So with the action phase over with, you go directly to the end phase. And in the end phase, more members of the Prophets of Rage do succumb to their injuries, which is all kinds of bad as well. So starting off in the back there, what's his name? Tavor Ghul, the brand new initiate, he basically succumbs to his wounds, suffers a critical injury. So because of that, my friend Iron Mage has a very difficult choice to make whether he wants to save this guy or let him die for the most part. At the same time that's occurring, what's his name? Orlok the Melter, he also goes out of action as well. He gets an enfeebling injury, so because of that, he goes in recovery, and he also loses 1 to his toughness as well. The only good news on this left-hand side is that Dran Ilvek, the initiate, he managed to get back on his feet again with a flesh wound, so he's perfectly fine. However, Iron Major has lost 5 guys so far. He does have to take a bottle test. Luckily for him, though, he passes without any problems. However, that's not the end of the suffering for my buddy Iron Major. The Bloody Nine also goes out of action as well. Iron Major rolled for his recovery and rolled another flesh wound, so because of that, he automatically goes out of action because he has 3 flesh wounds on him. And the Bloody Nine suffers a grievous injury as well, so he also goes in recovery. So in the opening turns of this battle report, 6 guys have gone out of action in the very first turn. That's almost half of the gang for the Prophets of Rage, so things are not looking very good for Iron Major at this point. So with the turn number 1 over with, with the end phase over with, that pretty much ends turn number 1. So here's an overhead shot of the entirety of the table at the end of turn number 1, and as you can see, things are not working out very well for Iron Major. His plan of catching these Slave Ogryns in a pincer attack has pretty much been blunted for the most part. His 2 fire teams of initiates have pretty much just been whittled down, only to 1 initiate left. The only thing he has left is his 3-man fire team on the left-hand side with the Eightfold Harvest Lord as well as his 2 Hive Scum. He's also got his 4-man fire team in the center still with its close combat elements and a whole bunch of Slave Ogryns just looking to kill. So things are not looking really good right now for Iron Major as well as the Prophets of Rage. So with the end of turn number 1, we go directly to the top of turn number 2, and my friends roll off for priority to see which of them will be going first. So we go directly to the top of turn number 2, and the Slave Ogryns manage to get the initiative on this one again, and my friend Smells Like Febreze does another group activation, activating her leader Taijin Khan, who also does a group activation for Chemo 113, Draco 111, as well as Stavro 256. Those Slave Ogryns just move up normally to the left-hand side of the Normal Moon Allowance, and then they open fire with their Storm Wielders directly across the table to where the Eightfold Harvest Lord as well as Avot is. So we have 3 Storm Wielders that fire 3 rapid fire dice apiece. In the end, when all the roll was said and done, she rolled 2 6s and a 5, and these guys all rolled, I think, all told 24 shots, I think is what it was, after they opened fire with their volley weapons directly into that little 3-man fire team. It was pretty horrific. All things considered, though, things could have gone significantly worse for my friend. And the reason why that was the case is, well, here's the problem that we ran into. The problem that we ran into, of course, was the willpower test. Because the Eightfold Harvest Lord has a Butcher's Mask, traditionally what you have to do is you have to roll a will test before you can open fire with your weapon. At the same time, though, the Stormwielder is also a reckless weapon, which means it opens fire automatically, and it doesn't really, you don't really target anybody, because what it does, the weapon randomly targets people in the forward arc. So we were debating back and forth whether or not this rule applies or not, and we couldn't figure it out. I mean, if you guys have a ruling on this rule, let me know, because we were actually sitting there for a while trying to figure out whether a willpower test had to be taken or not. Iron Major, oddly enough, said no, you don't have to take a willpower test because the weapon is randomized and it just goes and hits whoever's happened to be in the way, friend or foe alike, it doesn't matter. At the same time, though, Smells Like Febreze, though, she was telling Iron Major, no, I think I have to take a willpower test because it didn't really work out, because I'm still shooting at you. So it's kind of funny because they actually had opposite opinions on how it was going to work, and Iron Major is actually conceding the fact that no, you don't need to worry about it because it's randomized, but for Smells Like Febreze, she was like, no, I should have to do it. So as the arbitrator looked to me, I'm the arbitrator, I said roll a d6 and see what happens. Whoever has the higher die roll, that's the way we're going to go with this one. So they both rolled. Iron Major rolled a 6 on this one, so he obviously won the roll off. So because of that, Smells Like Febreze did not have to roll a willpower test to open fire against the Eightfold Harvest Lord. So if you're wondering what that was about, that's where we got into. So we're not sure how the ruling on that one is. We just kind of went with the idea that, from now anyways, because my friends rolled off to figure out what happened, that's what we decided to go with. So in the end, when it was all said and done, the Hateful Harvest Lord, I think he took like 11 of the 24 shots that went his way. He automatically goes out of action and he makes a full recovery. At the same time, the rest of the shots get divided up evenly between Tova and Avot. Tova on the top there, he should be facing down, but he kept on rolling over, so there was no way to keep him there. But they're both seriously injured. They also both are packing flesh wounds, so that part was horrific. So from there we go to the top left-hand corner of the battlefield, where my friend Iron Major decides to activate the very last of his initiates that he has left, which is Dran Ilvek. Dran Ilvek, of course, gets activated. He spends a special action to get back on his feet again, and then he takes another basic action to open fire with the stub gun with dum-dum rounds directly into Mech Boy. Unfortunately for Iron Major, though, he missed his shot, so nothing much happened there. And of course, Smells Like Febreze then activates Mech Boy, opens up with salvo ammo directly into into Dran Ilvek, puts a serious injury on him as well as an additional flesh wound, and so because of that, Dran Ilvek is pretty much done for the rest of the battle report, because if he's just seriously injured, he'll just stand there and just lay out and just bleed out for the most part until someone finishes him off with a coup de grace, or if Iron Major rolls another flesh wound, he'll automatically go out of action anyway, so that part was just absolutely tragic. And it's at this point in the game that my friend Iron Major decides to call the game because he lost over half his gang. He doesn't really want to lose anymore, and so there you go, ladies and gentlemen, with another victory for the Chainbreakers of the Slave Ogryns. This game was very short and extremely brutal, just showing how powerful those Slave Ogryns can be, especially when they're in mass. That was absolutely fantastic. Okay, so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to directly to the after-action report to the post-game, because this game is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Alright, first off, we start off with the Prophets of Rage. Further injuries, they suffered 6 injuries in this one. All of them are initiates. Band of the Eld as well as the Bloody Nine suffered serious grievous injuries, so because of that, they both will go into recovery, miss out the next battle report. Trolla Ilvek suffered a head injury, so he loses -1 point to his willpower and his intelligence, making that those two values 10 up. Varsk Ilvek suffers a spinal injury, so loses 1 point to his strength. Orlok the Melter got an enfeebling injury, lost 1 point to his toughness. And Tavar Ghul, Iron Major decided to let Tavar Ghul die, so because of that, Tavar Ghul is now dead as well. Further advancements, none of the members of this gang actually advanced forward. From their territories, from their settlement, they earned 1 point reputation from their settlement, as well as 40 credits. But at the same time, though, when Iron Major rolled his 2d6 to see if he recruited anybody, he recruited another initiate, named Shredder is the name of that character. As for their fighting pit, they lost the fighting pit to the Chainbreakers, so they don't get anything from that territory anymore. And they also lost their 2 hive scum that they had for their gang as well. From the trading post, they managed to earn 15 credits from the scenario, as well as 40 credits from their settlement, and they also had 10 credits in their stash, bringing the grand total to 65. With those 65 credits, Iron Major purchased an auto pistol with fragmentation rounds, a butcher's chain cleaver for Shredder. So now that guy's packing those weapons in this gang as well. Further reputation, they earned 1 point reputation from their territories, because they also lost a point of reputation from battling out, so because of that, their new reputation total now is at 20 points. Their new record now is at 1 win and 7 losses, and the new gang rating now is at 1,730 points. So with that, we go directly to Chain Breakers, the victors of this battle reports. For the injuries, none of the members of the Slave Ogryns actually suffered any injuries. At the same time, nobody leveled up either at this time either. From their territories, from their settlement that they control, they earn 1 point reputation as well as 40 credits. From the collapsed dome, though, they rolled to see what the value was going to be. They rolled 2d6 and they rolled 2 6s. So because that, a random member of the gang does get injured. So I do apologize for that. Sean Yu does suffer an injury. He gets a grievous injury because of the collapsed dome rule. So no income was collected, and Sean Yu will miss out on his next game. From the workshop, they still retain the services of Mech Boy, so he's still working for them. And from settlement number 2, they're another point of reputation as well as 20 credits. And then also they captured a fighting pit away from the Prophets of Rage, so because of that, the 2 Hivescan, Tova and Avot, are now working for them now. And the trading post earned 80 credits from the scenario, 60 credits from their territories, bringing their whole credits total to 140 credits. With those 140 credits, they purchased drop rigs for all of their fighters, and they took their 30 remaining credits and they placed them directly into their stash. For the reputation, they earned 2 points of reputation from the scenario as well as 2 points from their territories, bringing their grand total to 24. The new record now is at 4 wins and 2 losses, and the new game rating now is at 2,833 points. So that's going to do it for this one, you guys. As always, please feel free to comment, like, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to our channel. That's going to do it for this one, you guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.